This nasty old hose is practically welded onto this spigot. I've tried to twist it off by hand, but there's no way that's gonna work. I've tried using WD-40, letting that soak in, then using 2 pair of channel lock pliers, one to hold the spigot and one to hold the collar of the hose to twist it off, but that's not gonna work. The next way you'll see recommended is to use a hacksaw to cut through this collar, but it's kind of awkward. There's the edges of the siding, and this being loose, I don't love that putting stress on the spigot. I'm gonna do it a different way. I think you'll like it. For those of you who've been with me for a long time, you'll recognize this tool. This is my Dremel Multi-Max oscillating tool. What is gonna be the best blade to use with my oscillating tool to grind through this collar? I think it's made of like a zinc type of material. I'm not sure. So I'm gonna plunge in and see what works best. What I'm gonna start with first is this grout grinding blade that I've had forever. It's an abrasive blade with some carbide bits in it. I think it'll plow through this just fine, but if not, we'll try something else. So the grout grinding blade is definitely making some progress, but maybe not as fast as I'd like. I'd like to try something else just so we can figure out what is the best blade for the job. So I'm gonna use a Dremel carbide blade and see how that fares. Okay, that carbide blade was definitely the right choice. Now I'm going to use a screwdriver to pry it open. So once you loosen it up with that screwdriver, getting out a pair of pliers just to unscrew it from the spigot is what you do. There is a little bit of damage to the threads there. I'm hoping that's not too much to screw on a new hose. Let's see what happens. So you can see there's a little bit of a scratch from the oscillating tool. You definitely want to be careful when you're grinding that, not to get too far in there. And one thing I would say, it's a good idea to not go too far. That collar will break easily with the screwdriver, so don't get ambitious, don't get too aggressive on it. Just scratch it pretty deep, but not so far. Once you start seeing the threads appearing, just back off and start working with your screwdriver. It'll come right off, and once it snaps, you can twist it off. It'll not be a problem. But let's see if this will go on okay. I'm hoping I didn't damage them too much and that this new hose will go on easily enough. And yay, it works. It goes on tight. Okay, so that's on tight, and let's see if it leaks. I'm not seeing any leaking. If it does, you can obviously put some vinyl tape on there just to kind of seal up the threads. So I think this is a terrific method. Obviously, the best method you can use is just to screw it off with your hand, but that's not always possible. The next best method is using WD-40. Let that soak in for 15, 30 minutes or so, and then use 2 channel locks, one to brace the spigot because they are very fragile, and the other to grab the hose and twist it off. But that wasn't going to be possible in our situation. The third level of removing this is going to be to cut it off, and basically now you have 2 choices. The traditional method has been to use a hacksaw. I guess there's nothing wrong with that. It's just kind of awkward, and I think not everybody has a hacksaw. But if you do have an oscillating tool, I think this is the preferred method. I would definitely reach for this 100 times over using the hacksaw. And definitely I would use one of these carbide blades. Just one of these flat ones is super easy. By the way, it didn't cause any damage to the teeth, but these are super cheap anyway, these blades. So I hope everybody liked it and you find it useful. Hey, if this video helped you, the best way to thank me is to comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.